All right. Howdy, everyone. Frankie here, New West Reset. Hello. How's it going? Welcome back. Thank you very much for shooting in, joining a fella here for another live show. New West Reset Live, episode 119 here today. And we're going to do another edition of the Pedestrian Oblivion for the show here this evening. This time, Manhattan, going to the Big Apple, New York, for the Manhattan Pedestrian Oblivion. Got a couple of clips that we're going to look at in the show here later on. One from 1903 and the other from 1911. So we're going back a ways there, eh, buddy? So thanks for joining me. Thanks for winding down your weekend here with yours truly on this Sunday, May the 25th, 2025. And it's 25. Got a lot of 25s going on here. Does that mean something? I don't know. Probably not. 25 degrees Celsius. Well, actually, whoa, it just went to 26. 26 degrees Celsius. That's 80 Fahrenheit. It's a nice warm day here today. Nice and sunny. A little breezy, which is fine because then, it keeps you cool a little bit, so you're not overheating. Sweating like a hooer in church, as my granddaddy would say. It's terrible. Anyway, thanks for joining me here. Thanks for spending a little bit of your, Memorial Day in the good old US of A? In America? Was it the Memorial Day long weekend for you guys down there this weekend? Huh? Eh? I thought all the weekends between, like the holiday weekends between Canada and the US were pretty much all been rearranged so they all line up, but apparently not. Last weekend was the long weekend here in Canada land, the Victoria Day long weekend to celebrate Queen Victoria's born day, her birthday. But nothing down there in the US for a holiday. You guys got it this weekend, Memorial Day. So happy Memorial Day weekend for you. Hope it's nice. Hope the weather's lovely. And thanks for, as mentioned, thanks for winding down your weekend here with little old me. Appreciate that. And, we like to have fun around here. It is Sunday Fun Day after all. Woo! So thanks for joining me. As mentioned, episode 119, Manhattan Pedestrian Oblivion. We're going to look at the old footage, but before we get into that, we're going to look at the history of the streetcar, trolley, the tram, the electric streetcar thing in New York. And, we'll look into what some of the shenanigans of the official story as per usual. We'll see what Wikipedia has to say about all that, so on and so forth. And as per usual, links below for everything we're going to cover here for the show. And speaking of links, that's where Buddy's social media links are down there too, eh? Email and all of that, BitChute, and as per usual, Rumble, because we're broadcasting simultaneously live on both the HooTubes and the Bumble. So welcome to everybody from the Green Fighting platform over there. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Let me know how you're doing. Say hello in the box here in the chat. And how your weekend, or perhaps, if it's the case, how your long weekend is going. Who we got here? Kathy Broaden's here. Newly, freshly transplanted herself. She's now in Crestwood, Kentucky. Still in the... Wow, that's a loud motorcycle. Give her there, Bob. Give her. Anyway, window's open because it's beauty out there, eh? So you're going to hear some noise. Sorry. It is what it is. But yeah, still in the bluegrass state. Yeah, that's why your grass is so lush down there in the bluegrass state, Kathy, because it's raining. Jassy Nix in the box. Hello. Good to see you. Thanks for shooting it. Realm Dweller over on the Bumble, as mentioned. the aforementioned Rumble. Good to see you. Hello, hello. Ubu Khan in the box. Howdy. Welcome. Channel 53 is here. How's it going there, eh, bud? Kimmy. Hello, Kimmy. Hello, hello. Good to see you. I think I saw Wiley shooting in there as well. There he is. Hi, Frankie. I'm in the box. There you go. Hippie Shake. Hello, Hippie. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much for, sharing links and all of that stuff. Yes, my location map, courtesy of Cousin Vinny. Link for that in the description below as well. You click on that and it opens up the goggle machine there, and it's got a whole map of Purdy, Alberta, and everywhere a fella's done the boots on the ground there, from Edmonton all the way to Pincher Creek and various points in between. Cousin Vinny himself along with me on many of those, actually, so that's kind of cool. Dragon Sage is here. Hello, how's you going there, eh, bot? Good to see you. Good to see you. Hello, hello. Baha's here. Welcome, welcome. How's it going? Title's here. The window's open, so I might as well just let the whole neighborhood know. Just give me a second. Hey, everybody, Title's here. Yeah, I'll tell you too, sure. Yeah, right. How you doing, Title? Hello, hello. Hey, there's Bernie, Crypto Alchemist. How you doing there, Bod? Welcome, welcome. Sherry Ives is here as well. Where are you? Wow, you jumped. There you are. Hi ho, Sherry. Boss says I'm eating mint ice cream in bed right now. Hey, if you're going to eat something that can be potentially as messy as ice cream, you might as well just eat it in bed, eh? Why not? Your sheets can be like a giant napkin. Comforter, if it's nice and floofy and lofty, it'll just absorb that like a roll of Bounty paper towel, because it's the quicker picker upper, eh? But is it chocolate chip mint ice cream? That's what everybody's dying to know. I know that's what I'm dying to know. Take serious precision. Yeah. What's like anything like that? Eating soup or stew in bed, a bowl of cereal. Like if you got one of those little breakfast and bed tables, that you could set down, sure, it's fine. That's great. It's easy. But if you just do the precariously teetering it on your lap as you're trying to eat, yeah. Careful now. Careful. Hey, buddy. Vaughn is here. Good to see you there, pal. Hello, hello. Battlestar. Utarian. That's hard to say, Welcome. Good to see you. So as mentioned, episode number 119. 19. Manhattan Pedestrian Oblivion. I think this is the 6th Pedestrian Oblivion themed episode we've done on the show here, I think. I don't know, we did like Canadian, Pedestrian Oblivion, Edmontonian for, Edmonton, Torontonian, I think, or maybe the Toronto one was the Canadian one. I don't know. We did Chicagoan. We did London Pedestrian Oblivion. These are just fun. It's fun to dig up the old footage. And firstly, the Pedestrian Oblivion part, well, you get it, right? People just darting out in front of streetcar trolleys and trams, horses and buggies cutting off other horses and buggies, guys on bikes weaving through traffic, around 1900-ish, and you're thinking, yup, and Jehoshaphat, you're going to get run over, bud. Careful what you're doing there, eh? Jeez, guy. Jeez. Anyway, be that as it may, thank you very much once again for joining me. My favorite day of the week. I always look forward to hanging out with you good folks. Appreciate all the support. If you haven't already, maybe give a guy one of these, just kind of helps to push me out into the thing. Don't forget to do all the other things down here, please. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who's already shared and subscribed. T-shirts should have all arrived, by the way. Anybody who's kind enough to make a PayPal donation to a fellow here, I'll send you a New West Reset T-shirt or two. If you're kind enough to, and you're not shy about your address or whatever. I'm not going to dox you. I'm going to keep that classified. That's top secret, eyes only, Frankie eyes only. Just a little thing I do to thank you very much for your support. Of course, the best support is just, doing all the things that all the other channels ask you to do a million times, all the things. So thank you. Appreciate it. Morgan is here. I'm here. You rang. Good to see you. Isabella Live 2.0. Train going by in the background. How many diesel engines are hauling this one? Let's look out the window here and see. Two. You get two running that one, so it's not going to be a long haul. It's not going to be a lot of cars on that train. Anyway, without further ado, what do you say we get this thing rolling here? Then, as per usual, we'll take a mid-show break, and we'll come back and we'll actually look at the footage. But for now, just want to get a little bit of background, a little history. Of course, I love going to the Wikipedia because, that's what your average Joe will do, right? Average John or Jane Public. And be like, I wonder how long trolleys and trams have been on the streets in New York there in the Big Apple. So they're just going to jump on the goggle machine and look it up on the Wikipedia. So here we go. And this is a list of streetcar lines in Manhattan because, a city like the Big Apple, I guess they couldn't get their poop in a group enough. They couldn't get their shit together enough, their ducks in a row to have just one municipal railway line, electric streetcar line. No, they have to have, like four of them going. I guess they could hand wave it away by saying, well, it's a big city, that Big Apple. We needed more than one company to run all these different lines and routes of the streetcars there. But it looks at things, some of these only went a few blocks, so it seems kind of wacky. It goes from South Ferry to City Hall and back. All right. But anyways, it's just a list. Manhattan, New York City, streetcar lines. So you see you've got New York Railways, 3rd Avenue Railway. This one's just not available. They know there was a railway line that went from the Williamsburg Bridge to the East 23rd Street Ferry on Avenue A, but they have no idea who's running the thing. Okay. Great. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic information there, Wikipedia.
That doesn't make sense.
2nd Avenue Railway. 3rd Avenue Railway. Yeah, so there you go. Oh, another one that wasn't available. The Williamsburg Bridge in Brooklyn to Grand Central Terminal. Went through the Bowery and Park Avenue. But they, again, no idea. 1904 to 1911. What's going on here? Why is there different dates? Okay, this is historically, and this is after 1911. All right, gotcha. So it looks like New York Railways, and to some extent, 3rd Avenue Railway, gobbled up other railways. Sure, I guess it makes sense. Let's see what we got here for New York Railways. The New York Railways Company operated street railways in Manhattan, New York City between 1911 and 1925. That's it. The company went into receivership in 1919, and control was passed on to New York Railways Corporation in 1925, after which all of its remaining lines were replaced with bus routes. Really? As early as 1925? They started replacing the trolleys or trams or whatever with buses? Heh. Wow. Seems quite early, isn't it? Oi, oi, yourself. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for shooting in. That's a mouthful, by the way. Newwestreset. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. I don't know how to say it. You'll have to type it in the box phonetically for me, because I'm just I'm a sheltered and I'm just a sheltered Canadian, eh? History. New York Railways Company was incorporated December 30th, 1911, and operated following lines on or after 1911. Yes, they just scooped up a lot of smaller railways and operated all of these lines. The 8th Avenue Railroad, oh, there's another one, and 9th Avenue Railroad were split in July and on October. And the New York and Harlem Railroad City Line lease was canceled February 1st, 1920. During receivership, the process of abandoning unprofitable lines continued. As the last 4 storage battery lines, the Avenue C line, Spring and Delaney Streets line, Madison Street line, and 6th Avenue Ferry line, were discontinued September 21st, 1919. So the larger company just scooped up some of these smaller companies operating these shorter lines, kept the profitable ones and eliminated the other ones, and then just started bringing in buses. Sounds about right. Sounds just about right. Ain't that the MO? Water the Tree is here. Hello. Hello to you. How you doing there, eh? How's it going? Bus routes managed by the city, soon known as Mayor John Hyland's emergency bus lines, replaced the rail lines. The Spring and Delancey Street line was soon ordered resumed by the courts and operated until 1931. Really? Shut it down, and the court said, no, you're going to keep running it, bud, even if you're not making any money? Okay. Huh. New York Railway Company entered receivership March 20, 1919, after an application for fare increase was denied. Operations taken over by the New York Railways in 1925. Yeah. So why would they even have to apply to hike their rates? Wouldn't they just hike their rates? I guess because it's owned by one company, but regulated by the city. So the city has say in whether they raise their fares or not. Seems like it's owned by one company, but operated by the city, right? So that would explain why the city would just order them to reopen lines that they had closed. I don't know. It's very strange to me. Battlestar Utarian. There you go. Wish I'd left the railways all over the realm alone. Not part of the controller's long-term plan, I suppose. Yeah, exactly. I wish they had left them alone too. The stupidest thing is that, well, at least here in Calgary, but I know a lot of other cities in Canada and all around the realm, you know, they phased out the old trams, their trolleys, streetcars, whatever you want to call them. They phased them out. A lot of cases, 30s, 40s. Here in Calgary, right up until 1950, the end of December of 1950. By the new year of 51, they were all out of service and replaced by buses, right? But then you fast forward a few decades, in the 1980s, they reinstall an electric streetcar, the LRT, the light rail transit. And one of the streets that it travels through, downtown Calgary, was one of the streets that the old trolley tram thing used to. So it's like you first of all, supposing the official story is true, they take all that time, effort, money, man hours to build and install the entire municipal railway system, the trolleys, right? You run it, it starts to become unprofitable for some reason, which I don't understand, because all the footage that I've ever seen, people are hanging off of those things. Like they seem like there weren't enough cars, streetcars, that is. So people were just hanging off the back and hanging off the sides, and you know what I'm saying. So yeah, there's something hinky going on. There's something goofy because, you know, they're like, hey, we're not really making a profit. We want to raise the fares a nickel or whatever, right? Let's say it was 10 cents to ride. Then all of a sudden, well, we got to raise it to even 12 cents. Let's say 15 cents. We're going to raise it a nickel. And the city says, nope. So of course they're forced to close up shop, right? So that's the agenda. Then the city just paves over the old tracks or rips them up, whatever the case may be. Oh, we need the metal for the war effort or whatever. But then lo and behold, years later, a lot of the cities reinstall these electric municipal railways or LRTs or whatever. It's so goofy to me, man. Just goofy beyond goofy. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I really don't know why they do it. Anyways, a quick little bit of early history. The first streetcars in Manhattan were, of course, the horse cars. Yes, the horse-drawn trolleys or trams of the New York and Harlem Railroad. So there's another one. What's that, like 12 different operators now? Which began operations on Bowery, November 26, 1832. Whew, that is early. That is really early. By the end of 1865, Manhattan had 11 north-south lines on most of the major avenues and several crosstown lines operated by 12, there it is, 12 companies. This number had increased to about 20 companies by 1886. Everybody's getting in on the streetcar racket. Man. I think I saw Eric. Eric here? Yeah, there he is. Lost and Found History Rewritten. Eric, how you doing? It's 20 by 1886. Wow, that's explosive. With only 2 leases in effect at the time, the 125th Street Railroad to the 3rd Avenue Railroad, 1870, and the Bleecker Street and Fulton Ferry Railroad to the 23rd Street Railway in 1876. A group of Philadelphia businessmen headed by Peter A.B. Widener. Look at this guy. Thomas Dolan and William L. Elkins incorporated the Metropolitan Traction Company in New Jersey, February 19th, 1886. This holding company immediately started acquiring Manhattan street railways. Started by buying the Broadway and 7th, then the Houston West, yada, yada, Chambers Street, so on and so forth. Added to this system were the South Ferry Railroad in 1889, 23rd Street in 1890, another one in 1890, and Metropolitan Crosstown in 1891. Again, they're just whacking them up, man. Just whacking them up. Baja in the box says, never ridden in a streetcar. Oh, you're missing out. Missing out. I've been on a couple. Heritage Park here in Calgary, which is, I don't know how to describe it. It's like an amusement park and a living museum and an interpretive center, and they've relocated old world buildings from their original sites rather than tearing them down and putting them into this big, massive plot of land here in Calgary. And you go in and you tour around, and they've got it set up like an old-timey prairie town circa 1900-ish. Anyway, they got a streetcar trolley that whips around in there, so I've been on that one. But Edmonton has one, and Vancouver has one, or at least they did. You know, the old-timey ones. Sometimes, you know, tourist towns will keep a small section of their little trolley or tram system set up for the tourists. Nolans still has theirs, right, in Louisiana, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Samuel Throckmorton. It's a very commanding name. I like that. Welcome. Good to see you, Samuel. Thanks for shooting in there, bud. All right, so this Metropolitan Traction Company, we'll just skim through this here. The new Metropolitan Traction Company of New York, with almost twice the capitalization of the old company, took over in 1892 and continued to buy street railroads. The Central Park, North and East River Railroad in 1892, so on and so on. Yeah, they're just buying them all up. They also began leasing their subsidiaries to each other, starting with leases to Houston, West Street, Broadway. Okay. Sounds like a money laundering scheme to me, or some kind of weirdo Ponzi scam or something. I don't know. It just sounds very, very, very strange. They buy these companies up, amalgamate it into the traction company, and then start leasing them back to the companies that they bought them from, the subsidiaries. Is it me? Am I not understanding that, or is it just hokey? Anyways, the Houston merged with the Broadway Railway and South Ferry Railroad in 1893, forming the Metropolitan Street Railway Company. That company was merged with the Lexington Avenue Railroad and Metropolitan Crosstown in 1894, creating a second company with the same name. And a third Metropolitan Street Railway was formed in November of 1895, when it was merged with the Columbus and 9th Avenue Railroad. See how convoluted and muddy these waters start getting? No wonder they have to have a separate Wikipedia page with a chart showing all the dates of who bought this and when and what avenues or streets it ran up and down and what neighborhoods. And they had an interurban street railway company. Holy smokes. So the interurban street railway, if you're not familiar, would go between towns. It would go from one city to the next, 30 miles, 50 miles down the road or whatever. And they would connect from town to town. Now, it might only travel down the main street of your small town, but even if you had a small town of 2,000 people and you were within a few miles of a larger urban center that had its own municipal railway, well, they would just connect you up there, bud. So the Interurban Street Railway Company in New York was incorporated November 25th, 1901 to take over the bankrupt North Mount Vernon Street Railway. The Interurban leased the overcapitalized and waterlogged Metropolitan on, look at that, Valentine's Day of 1902. The newly formed Metropolitan Securities Company acquired stock of the Interurban, which itself took over the stock of many Metropolitan subsidiaries. The Interurban's name was changed to the New York City Railway Company, February 10th, 2004. And then they had an interborough railway. Man, oh man. You see, they have to have a flow chart. A bloody flow chart to show you everything that was going on. You think the city of New York would just say, look, we got 5 boroughs, right? Let's just run the thing from one central thing here in Manhattan. We'll send trains out to the other 4 boroughs. If we want to expand into New Jersey later or something, we can do that. Just wacky stuff, man. I mean, it looks like they were trying to do that by buying up these smaller companies, but you think right out of the get-go, because I firmly believe a lot of these, I'm going to call them, I don't know, transportation methods are from the old world. And I think airships or dirigibles and old steam locomotive train systems and these trolleys, Not the stupid horse-drawn trolleys, the electric trolleys. Are much older than we're being told. I think they dusted them off, and as they were trying to reverse engineer them to get them to start working again, in the interim, they used horses to pull them because it looks ridiculous. It's oftentimes the exact same trolley car. They've just hooked a harness up to it so they can have one or two horses pulling it, or a mule. So you think if they were just going to take over a pre-existing found old world system, that right out of the gates they would just have one big company, right? They're just like the robber barons did with everything else. It's just so wacky and convoluted to me. I don't get it. It doesn't make much sense. Maybe in its early stages you would have some independent companies and then get bought up by larger companies. Sure, but I wouldn't think there would be 20 operating at the same time. Yeah, it's okay. Sure. Realm Dweller says Seattle had cable-pulled streetcars back in the day. Right, like the San Francisco one, where it's an underground cable, right, instead of an overhead power lines. From what I understand, they do that in some cities that have really steep hills in the streets, and supposedly the trains, there's not enough friction where it can climb these steep grades. So, just scrolling through the chat here. Yeah, I agree. Channel 53 says, sounds like a complicated system. Yeah, it's goofy and convoluted, right? Is New West hitting a mainstream account of the history of railway, streetcars, and such? I'm trying to catch up. Oh, yeah, no, I'm just doing just looking into the official story of the Manhattan, specifically Manhattan and their streetcar trolleys, their electric streetcars, not the subway system or the L system, just the street level electric cars. And later on, we're going to have a look at some old-timey film of people darting in and out of and in front of these streetcars and traffic and horse and buggies. And that's where the pedestrian Oblivion comes into play, because it seems like they're completely oblivious to the dangers of the traffic. It's like they've just newly arrived. They've gone through their new narrative education. They've gone to a World's Fair and they've got their passport stamped, and they've been loosed upon, some newer city that's been founded. And they don't know what the Sam Steele's going on in the streets. Look out for the horse and buggies now. You just walk right in front of it. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Yeah, I agree. Melted Syracuse, New York in the box. It says trolleys were founded. Their primary means of transportation in every city. Yeah, pretty much. I've looked into little towns of like 2,000 people in the American Midwest. And they had a trolley. They had a tram going. It might have been only up and down 3 or 4 streets. And they were also part of the interurban streetcar system too. So they'd go between towns. Absolutely crazy. Jassy Nix in the box says they were clearing some trees here recently and found this weird brick building. It looked like it was a double train tunnel, though it's not on any tracks. They found an antique car in it. So they pulled up the track and then let it go derelict. And then eventually it sat there for so long derelict that they forgot about it. Huh. Crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I'm not completely surprised, though. It seems like they do that on purpose, right? In the hopes that us, snotty-nosed, filthy, unwashed masses forget about it. A lot of times, those in the sort of in the city government or in your state or provincial government or county government or whatever, even some of them, they start forgetting about it. And then eventually the archives don't get updated, so then it's no longer in the archives either. And then lo and behold, then somebody stumbles across it, or there's some, I don't know, construction work or road maintenance work being done, and then, oh, look what we found. Nobody knew this was here. Yeah, fake it till you make it. Yeah, that's very accurate. Ubukan says, old-time Frogger. Yeah, just dodging them traffics, no problem. And they don't even seem nervous. They seem just oblivious that, oh, if I get hit by this trolley, it's going to be ouchy. That's what I'm thinking, Hippie Shake in the box says, weren't all these electric trolleys running on the pre-energy system? Yeah, the old energetic system. The pre-reset, yeah. And then when they took all the tech out, it didn't work anymore. Hence these, yeah. Yeah, so that's why when you see a lot of the first and second generation streetcar trolleys or trams being pulled by horses, and later on it's the exact same thing, and it's electric. So yeah, I think they found these, right? Like Chassis said, abandoned old trolley tunnels or storage barns or buildings. And, years and years later, they're forgotten about. And then all of a sudden somebody comes along and it's rediscovered. And yeah, until they could figure out how to get it working again, they had freaking horses or mules pulling them. It's absolutely, it's just cockamamie is what it is. It's textbook example of
shenanigans.
Anyway, I've got a couple other, again, links below for everything that we're looking at here, but a couple of other links in the description here. This, just to make a note of a couple that they had made mention of in the previous article on Wikipedia. This is the 3rd Avenue Railway. So it was founded in 1852 as a streetcar system serving the New York City boroughs of Manhattan, the Bronx, along with lower Westchester County for a brief period of time. 3rd Avenue Railway system also operated the Steinway lines in Long Island City. The conversion from streetcar to bus operation came from great pressure applied by New York City's Board of Transportation for a unified bus transportation system across the city. Why didn't they pressure them to have a unified trolley or streetcar tram system across the city then? Because the agenda was to get rid of the efficient, smooth, quiet, and quite fancy inside of a lot of these streetcar tram trolleys and replace them with petrol-fueled buses. They applied for its first bus franchises in 1928. See, that's pretty early. By 1948, all streetcar lines in Manhattan and the Bronx were converted to bus operation. The lines in Westchester County continued to operate until the Yonkers City lines were shut down in 1952. Oh, so they went up quite a while, 1952. 3rd Avenue Railway was purchased by New York City Omnibus Corporation in 1956 and transferred the remaining transit operating franchises to subsidiary Surface Transportation Incorporated. See, there's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. One of these, you see it with the doohickey on top with the power lines, and you think, yeah, okay. Or you see it with the exact same looking one with a horse attached to it. You're like, wait a sec. Old World Mi'kmaq in the box. Quay Nitap, good to see you. Welcome. How's it going? Samuel says, that's it. New West Reset. The oil and engine industry push hard to get rid of competition. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like these companies bought up the smaller companies and amalgamated down to, a handful, and then eventually down to one or two boroughs, at least in terms of New York as a whole, right? And then these companies ended up forming bus or omnibus companies, and then they just phased out the train branch of their company and just phased in more and more buses. And it's a real shame. All because the city supposedly wouldn't approve them to raise their rates, so they were no longer profitable. Profitable enough at one point for 20 different companies to be started in New York City alone. So the origins can be traced back to a simple horse car line operated by Third Avenue Railroad Company between the City Hall and 62nd Street in Manhattan in 1853. By the 1870s, routes had been extended as far north as 129th Street and across the length of 125th Street. At its peak, more than 1,700 horses, 1,700 horses, were stabled by the railway to keep up with demand. All right, can we have some information as to where they were stabled at? You're giving us all these, they went up and down these streets here and there. Where were the stables for almost 2,000 horses to pull these freaking trolleys? You know how big or how many quite large buildings you would have to stable 1,700 horses? I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada land here now, people. Now this is cowboy country here. Now I know about stabling horses and what you need to keep horses watered, fed, sheltered, comfortable, and ready to pull a trolley there for the next day's work all the livelong day, I guess. And that's a lot of work, and that's a lot of square footage. Even if they had, like 10 different buildings or a dozen different buildings peppered throughout, it's still a lot of horses, and it's still a lot of buildings. Yeah, that's right. Eric at Lost and Found History Rewritten says it was in one of the basements of one of the old world buildings. It would have to be pretty damn big building. Well, I guess at some point the bus got smoother, but I think initially the buses were pretty rickety, especially the old omnibuses, because that was basically just a really large stagecoach pulled by a horse. It was basically like one of these pulled by a horse, but it wasn't restricted to being on a track. It had wagon wheels on it. The rubber tires and a paved roadway would have helped. Let me tell you, these things move along very smoothly on these tracks because they were light, right? These aren't great big, huge iron and steel carrying lots of cargo. It's not like a cargo train, right? It's not like a freight train. These things had metal frames, and then more often than not, then they were framed in wood, and they had the wood floors on the inside, and the seats were, what do they call that? Woven wicker seats or upholstered leather seats. So I think one car like this would maybe weigh, what? I don't know, a couple 1,000 pounds. So you would have got a pretty smooth ride, I think. He says the streetcar I rode rattled your teeth out. Yeah, well, it's probably it was probably a streetcar that was decommissioned in the 40s or 50s, so it's probably seen better days. And who's left, really, that knows how to maintain and run these things properly, right? Keep them in tip-top order. But I will admit, the streetcar trolley ride of a 1940s or 50s is not going to be as smooth as a modern-day bus. I will give you that. The smooth ride on the modern bus will trump the old streetcars. But it's not as comfortable. And they cram you in there with a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of mouth-breathing booger eaters. Anyways, by 1885, Third Avenue Railroad opened its first cable car line on Amsterdam Avenue. 125th and 3rd Avenue lines were converted to cable car operation by 1893. The lines were converted to electric operation in 1899. Okay, so they went from horse pulling it to it being a cable, like Seattle or San Francisco, to then overhead electric lines. So they actually had 3 different systems going at one point from 1885 to 1899. So in a 14-year span, they swapped it out twice. Swapped out the horses to a cable and then swapped out the cable to electric. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Let me ask you something. How come you asking so many jackassy questions?
Yeah, you're right. Good point. No questions. Just move on. Anyway, a lot more information on this thing. Who acquired it, swallowed up by other companies, so on and so forth. You know, that usual narrative. So again, link below for that one as well. Got one more to look at here real quick. It was just one of the other major railway lines, the municipal railways. This is the New York Railway Company, which is one of the bigger ones. At least, I don't know, I reckon. That's what they're saying anyway. Sherry Ives says, mouth-breathing booger eaters is my new password. There he is. So the New York Railways Company. The New York Railways Company operated street railways in Manhattan, New York City, between 1911 and 1925. The company went into receivership in 1919, and control was passed on to New York Railways Corporation in 25, after which all of its remaining lines were replaced by bus routes. New York Railways Company was incorporated December 30th, 1911, and operated the following lines on or after 1911. A lot of different lines. Early history, the first streetcars in Manhattan were the horse cars. Yeah, of course. Did we look at this already? Am I retreading waters that we already treaded? I think I might be. I don't know. See? You see how confused Buddy can get? Yeah, the group of Philadelphia business. Okay, so we did go over this. Must have been one of the links that we clicked. Went from one article to the next. All right, so there you go. Oh, yeah, interurban. Right. All right, good. So I'm not going crazy. I'm just insane. Perfect. Going for a job as a tram driver in Canberra in a month or so. Really? There you go. You got to be careful. I would imagine that would be, not that your job isn't stressful already, being a coach operator. You know, you got a lot of people that you're transporting, and you got to watch out for maniac drivers on the roads, and, you know, responsible for the lives of others. Their life is in your hands, man. But, I mean, you could kind of swerve a coach liner, a big bus, if, I don't know, some goof on a bicycle or a kangaroo jumps out in front of you or whatever. But if it's a tram, I mean, you're on them rails, right? If some knucklehead on a bicycle tries to beat the train, you know, all you could do is ring the bell, blow the whistle, and hit the brake, and then, I don't know, close your eyes and pray, I guess. So it's got to be kind of a little bit stressful, you know, I would think, but good on you, man. That's, he says, cheers. Yeah, I had an interview last Monday. Very good. Good for you. That's a city employee job, eh? So that's, I mean, you know, that's kind of the way to do it there, bud. You know, you get it all, you get all the benefits, right? You get the medical and the dental and the pay for your eyeglasses or whatever you need, right? The job of the city, man, and or the county or whatever, right? You got it made in the shade with pink lemonade there, bud. Dragon Sage says there's ancient plumbing everywhere and pumps that run forever. There's tunnel systems. I mean, you made allusion to that. You alluded to that in your most recent video, Sage. Tunnels and all kinds of underground infrastructure. And that's what I think all these trolleys or trams were back in the day, you know, pre-reset, was that they were just part of the old world infrastructure. People used them, and, you know, they were very convenient, and it was inexpensive, and it was easy to run. And if you need to expand the line, they could do that. All they had to do was lay track. Maybe put in a few more barns to house a few more cars. As they expand the lines, they add more cars, right? But no, we can't have that efficient thing that everybody prefers. No, we gotta have these buses. I mean, these days they have those kneeling buses, so I guess, you know, buddy's in a wheelchair or on crutches or something. That's all right. It would have been kind of hard to get on one of the old-timey trolleys if you were on crutches or in one of those old-timey wheelchairs back in the day. So I guess accessibility for more people. But there's not too much of an upside that I can see. It's just me. Especially when they replace old trains with just basically the exact same thing, just a newer version, instead of just continually updating the old version. But no, we can't do that because the city won't let us raise the fare rates. So we got to shut her down. Instead of raising the fare a little bit, putting that money back into the company and, you know, keep modernizing the trams or trolleys as we move through the post-war period into the 50s, 60s, and beyond. Now they just rip it up in the 50s, and then here in Calgary in the 80s, they laid down a whole new track for a new electric train. You idiots, thanks. It ain't costing a dime anymore now. I think it costs almost $4 to ride our train now. So, you know. Okay. Lost and Found History Rewritten. Eric says the kneeling buses came about when the Americans with Disabilities Act was passed. Sure. And why not? You know. So where are we at here for time? Coming up on an hour. Nice. Very nice. All right. Beauty. Getting real close here. We'll take a mid-show break. Coming up very shortly here. Give you a sneak peek at your upcoming midweek vintage footage video. Once again, thank you very much for joining me. Really appreciate it as per usual. So if you are new to the channel, or as a reminder, every Wednesday I upload vintage footage video, much like we're going to be looking at the second half of the show here. Old-timey video footage. I usually edit the thing and set it to music. I try to keep it Canadian, and I try to keep it the older the better, right? So every Wednesday that's released vintage footage, but I like to give you a sneak peek of that here Sunday for the live show. And then, of course, as always, again, Fridays, boots on the ground videos. And that's where the location map comes into play. So what do we have coming up here for, this is footage from 1906. Hey, do you like them peak freeing cookies? You know, biscuits that you have with tea or coffee? You know, those peak freens. They make the shortbread cookies and the ones with the vanilla filling with the jam in the middle. Peak freeing cookies. Well, this one is a tour of the Peak Freeing Cookie or Biscuit, Sweet Biscuit Factory, 1906. And this is a nice long one, 7 minutes long. And it's another banger. So smoke them if you got them. Put your ear goggles on and turn it up to 11. All right. Give everybody a second to get settled in here. All right. So let me cue it up and we shall be back in 7 minutes. I'll see you on the other side of this video. Stick around. Be right back. Thanks, everyone. Cheers. There I am. All right, we are back. Welcome back, everybody. Frankie here, New West Reset. Thanks for shooting in, joining me here for another one. Another live show, New West Reset Live, episode 119. Manhattan, Pedestrian, Oblivion. Thanks for joining me here and winding down your weekend with yours truly for the live show, May 25th, 2025. 6 p.m. local time. That's mountain time. Because as always, we're coming at you from Purdy, Alberta, southwestern Alberta up in Canada land. I'm here in Calgary, Cowtown. Stampede's coming soon. World's biggest rodeo. Let's keep your peepers peeled to the channel here for the broadcasts, the cowboy themed broadcast of the live show. That'll be in second week in July. For the world's biggest rodeo, the Calgary Exhibition and Stampede. So as mentioned, 6 p.m. local time here, 26 degrees Celsius. It was 80 Fahrenheit. Fantastic. Just coming back from that Peak Freeing Cookie Factory tour from, 1906, I believe. And a good tune, too. What'd you think of that? Dragon Sage says Peak Freens are very serious cookie. That's right. Biscuits in the UK. Cookies here. Unless we're having tea here in Canada, then we have tea and biscuits. Otherwise, we call them cookies. But if we're having biscuits, like in the States, like buttermilk biscuits piping hot out of the oven, you have this gravy, put some gravy, then we're talking biscuits. You know what I'm saying? That confuses the Brits. The Brits they think we're pouring gravy on cookies over here. And they're upchucking in their tea cozies. Ubu Khan says, nice tune. Yes, indeed. Yeah, that was Sloan. Old World, Michigan's in the box. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. Did you notice in that footage, by the way, there was some child labor going on there? Yikes. There were little kids working around dangerous machinery in that factory. It's, Baja, right? Where's the kids working? Yeah, there they were. And I'm not talking about teenagers, like a 14 or a 15-year-old kid. No, these are like 8-year-old kids, man. It's not good. It's not good at all. Don't like to see it, but that's part of the thing with the vintage footage. You get to see stuff as it was, and you're like, holy cannolis, what's going on there? Yikes. So once again, thanks for joining me here for the live show. If you haven't already, do all the things. Really appreciate that. As always, thanks for all your support. Thanks for winding down your weekend here. And hey, if you're down in America, it's your Memorial Day long weekend down there. So thanks for taking time out of, grilling something on the barbecue there and having a couple of wobbly pops. Thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. We're gonna have some fun here because it's Sunday Fun Day. Woo! Dragon Sage in the box. I get odd fox and coyotes some nights. Yeah, we get coyotes here too. Fox, not so much. Siren in the background. Shout out to Terry Light. Ambulance. Hope you're okay out there, Abe. Take it easy, guy. Maybe they're American and they were just partying. They were doing the party hardy for the Memorial weekend. I don't know what's going on out there. It's nice. Got the window open. So there it is. Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't uncommon. I've seen some footage of little kids working around all kinds of dangerous equipment in like those textile mill factories and whatnot. Yikes. Yeah, back when kids had work ethics. Those 8-year-olds knew how to put in a good, honest day's work. I tell you what. My show is like tripping on mushrooms. Okay. That's, well, strap in. But take it easy there. Don't get too crazy on me now. All right? Let's slow it down. That Peak Friends, speaking of Peak Friends, that Peak Friends factory footage, that was a mouthful to try and spit out. But anyways, that was from Londinium over in the UK there, in England land. In the English land there. But we have the Peak Friend cookies here in Canada too there, eh, bud? Oh, you know it, guy. We got the entire plethora, or plethora, if you prefer. All the different assortments and varieties of the Peak Friend cookies over here. Because, you know, we like our biscuits, our sweet biscuits, our cookies. And we like to have tea. So we like to have our tea and biscuits. All right, what do you say we have a look at what's going on for the show here? Manhattan, Pedestrian, Oblivion. Goes back to what everybody was talking about in the chat earlier with the NPCs, and some people have no internal dialogue. I didn't think I was watching during the break, did you? But I was watching. Oh, I was watching. But yeah, those people have no internal dialogue. They don't have the voice in their head that says, hey, Bob, don't go doing that there, eh? You're going to get hurt there, pal. No, they don't have that. Those are the people you got to watch out for. Those are the people that you got to keep your head on a swivel and watch out for. You can't be oblivious to them. That's just as dangerous as getting run over by a streetcar trolley tram or getting run over by a horse and buggy. So yeah, let's get into this here. Let's get into this. As mentioned, I've got a couple of clips that I've just put together. I think I put even a little bit of soft, light background music, I think. So let me know how the volume is on that. Because, you know, a guy's going to be talking over the thing anyways, too, there, eh? So, but once I get this, let me get this out of here. Jesse Nix in the box says, in the late 1940s, my grandfather worked on train engines for Ford. He was 13. Eventually left and went back to school. Well, good for him for going back to school. Not because school's necessarily good for you, but they tell you got to have that paper that says, yeah, I made it all the way through high school and graduated. So you can, you know, I can pretty much read and write and, you know, do the 3 R's. And I know I did my old-timey calisthenics in the physical education class. So, you know, you can give me a job and I can vote and stuff. But yeah, my granddaddy worked in a brickyard when he was quite young. He was a farmer. But he started working, before he was a farmer, he started working in a brickyard and he was pretty young. He was in his mid to late teens, I think. And, geez, do I ever wish he was still above ground, dear old granddaddy. But he's got some stories to tell about the brickyard that he worked in. But then when he moved off of his parents' farm and got his own little farm, he was a farmer. But obviously during the off season, when you're not farming, he kept his employ at the brickyard. He worked for the railroad for a while too, before that even, I think. But 13, that's young. That's real young. Yikes. But yeah, not too uncommon. You know, and back then, you know, you had to do what you had to do. My great-granddaddy was a bootlegger because, you know, he had to do what he had to do. So he snuck Canadian whiskey across the border into the United States from basically out of Montreal, CP Rail, through to Champlain, New York. And, you know, put food on the table, right? But That's different than being 8 years old or being 15 and lying about your age to defend your country back in WW1 or something. I mean, I feel bad for those guys because they were lied to about the narrative. You know, these are resets, these world wars, and these big, you know, the shuffling of the deck on the realm-wide scale, on a global scale, as they would say, right? Hippie Shake said, my grandfather worked in the coal mines at 13 in Wales. Went to night school and became an engineer. Fantastic. Yeah, the coal mining's kind of is a thing in Wales, isn't it? I mean, there's lots of things that are a thing in Wales. Wales is beautiful. It doesn't have just coal mining going for it, for pity's sakes. But you get what I'm getting at, right? Like it's some parts of the United States are famous for their coal mining, right? Loretta Lynn, right? Coal miner's daughter. Her daddy was a coal miner or something. I don't know. But wasn't Tom Jones the singer? You know, what's new, pussycat? Whoa, 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 whoa. You know, that guy. He's Welsh. And did he work in a coal mine? And then he wins some talent show, some amateur singing contest. And everybody flipped their lids. Fast forward a couple of years and he's recording records and ladies are throwing their unmentionables on the stage at him and stuff. Hotel room keys and stuff. Going bonkers on the guy. Come on. It's Tom Jones. The guy could sing. And he's a handsome devil too. But wasn't he a coal miner in Wales? Yeah, Hippie says, yeah, the coal mines were big in Wales until Maggie Thatcher closed them all down. Yeah, they're doing that here in Alberta and over in British Columbia too. My sister works at a coal mine. She drives one of them huge dump trucks where you can't even touch the top of the tire. You know what I mean? Like when she stands in front of the tire, she's a third of the way up the height of the wheel on that thing. Them ridiculous dump trucks. Yeah, my baby sister, who's all of 5'2". But yeah, they're trying to shut down all them coal mines. Realm Dweller says coal towns around here are mostly Welsh workers that experience the Welsh. Tom Jones's father was a coal miner. Oh, okay. Yeah, I heard that's what I heard. Boss says I heard he was actually a coal miner, but I don't know. Let's goggle it. Let's just open up the Wikipedia here, like an NPC normie, and just type in Tom Jones. And I know it's the first guy that's going to pop up. Yep, Tom Jones, singer. Going off on a tangent, eh? Bless him, the Tom Jones. Bless him. You know, I've talked before about my vinyl record collection, right? I've got a lot of vinyl records. I've got like 1,200 records. Most of them are blues. But you can sure bet I got me some Tom Jones records. Sir Thomas Jones Woodward. Well, excuse me, sir. Excuse me, it's Sir Thomas Jones Woodward. That's, hey, good for him, man. Gets knighted. Sure, why not? He's born Thomas John Woodward, 7th of June, 1940. He's kind of a young fella. He's a Welsh singer. His career began with a string of top 10 hits in the 60s, and he has since toured regularly. Yeah, he's a worker, man. This guy is not lazy. With appearances in Las Vegas from 67 until 2011. Didn't he have his own show, TV show, too? I know he's been on every show, but his voice has been described by AllMusic as full-throated, robust baritone. Yeah, you got that right. Jones' performing range, range has included pop, R&B, show tunes, country, dance, soul, gospel. Blue-eyed soul kind of ish. Yeah. In 2008, the New York Times called him musical shapeshifter who could slide from soulful rasp to pop croon with a voice as husky as it is pretty. Yeah, there you go. So 10 million records. Yeah, okay, sure. Occasionally dabbled in acting. Sure, early life. Here we go. In Wales, the son of Freda Jones and coal miner Thomas Woodward. Primarily English descent. His maternal grandfather is Welsh. He began singing early age, regularly singing at family gatherings, weddings, school choir. Did not like school or sports, but gained confidence in singing. Age 12, he was diagnosed with TB. Uh-oh. Years later, he said he spent 2 years in bed recovering. Worst time of my life. They skipped over a bunch of stuff, man. They went from he had the TB when he was 12 to all of a sudden he's a front man of a group. So I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. Well, we'll look into it. We'll look into Tom Jones. But anyways, Tom Jones. Jacket says my mom is a coal miner's daughter. Is that true? Or are you just playing? Quit playing. Actually, no, from Ontario. Yeah, for sure. Canadian Shield right there. A lot of mining. Nickel. Did I say knicker? Knickerbockers. I didn't say the N-word, though. If that's what you're thinking. So don't even try to point your gangly finger at me. Because you know what knickers are, right? There's those pants that you wear under your pants. They're called underpants. You know, your banana hammock. Anyway, this has really gotten off the rails quickly. Thanks a lot, Tom Jones. He says, no, really? Okay. I believe you. From Cape Breton. Oh. Yeah, okay, sure. I believe that too, actually. Yeah, there's quite a bit of mining on, Nova Scotia, PEI, I think Newfoundland too, I think. But always thinks, yeah, it's just fishing there. It's just fishing. John 53 says, I'm an Engelbert kind of guy. Engelbert Humperdinck. I do not have any Engelbert Humperdinck records in my collection. It's just what it is. He collected over-the-shoulder boulder holders. PCS World shooting into the box with with the over-the-shoulder bar.
I'm wetting my jockeys here.
All right. Anyway, it's I also don't have any Robert Goulet records in my Goulet. I don't have any Goulet in my collection either. I do have that Tom Jones. My mom's, right? My mom, when I was a kid, she liked the Tom Jones. She liked the Elvis and all that, of course, but she liked the Tom Jones. So I grew up listening to some Tom Jones. Hey, at least it wasn't Roger Whittaker or, I don't know, some other god-awful, Anne Murray, some other god-awful thing like that. All right, we've really, let's get back into this thing here now. Darn it all. So like I said, I think I have some soft music. So let me know how the volume is. I'm going to probably pause it anyways as I blather. Yeah, Liberace. No, didn't have to listen to any Liberace or watch Liberace. Lawrence Welk, right? Thank you, boys. Right, to Liberace, I wish my brother George were here. All I know about Liberace is from Bugs Bunny cartoons where they used to do the Liberace thing. Anyways, this is Manhattan, 1903. And right out of the gates, there's horses pulling wagons, just cutting in front of electric streetcar trolleys. Just the tram is just making its way along, and there's people are darting out like they're completely oblivious, like they have no internal voice in their head. Okay, at least this one guy here with the horse waited a second. At the very least. What are you honking at, buddy? It's not that kind of traffic. This is horse and buggy era here, pal. Go easy with the honking there, eh, guy? Sorry about that, people. Somebody out there's just gone honk happy. Honky? See, he waits for the trolley to go by, but then he cuts off another horse and buggy. Well, I'm already halfway out into the intersection. I guess not much has changed with the drivers. I'm halfway out into the intersection, blocking all this traffic anyways. I might as well just go. Go! The other thing that kills me is the people just strolled. They're witnessing this chaos. They can see with their own two eyes the horse and buggies and the carriages and the taxis, the hansom cabs or whatever, right? The carts, cutting off the trolleys, cutting each other off. You'd think they would skedaddle a little more briskly across the roadway. No, just strolling along like he's walking through Central Park. Not a care in the world. Yeah. Controlled chaos, says Kathy Broughton. PCS World in the boxes. He missed his cue. Yeah, I'm just going to go. All right. Hey, I'm walking here. And see that guy dart out from behind? Let me roll it back. You see the guy in the gray suit with the bowler hat on, just strolling along. But then another guy just barely dodges this trolley. Right here. Yay. At least he's got a stride. At least he's got a bit of a stride to him. Thank you, Hippie. Thank you. Oh, yeah, and of course, I forgot to say, make note of the massive buildings in the background here. And again, as a reminder, this is 1903, this section of footage. Yeah, it's New York, right? Old Amsterdam, New Amsterdam, whatever. Wasn't it called Old New Holland or New Holland at one point and then New Amsterdam? I can't remember. But yeah, make note of the massive structures in the background. Horse and buggy era. So there's electric, obviously, at this point. Electric lights, electric trolleys or trams. But I don't see any traffic lights yet at this point. But I'm also not seeing any police or what you would call a traffic officers. Like the guys that direct traffic. Usually they'd have a whistle and they'd wear white gloves and whoa, all right, you over there. All right, let's go. I'm not seeing that either. Sometimes you would have a weird thing, like in the middle of the intersection, you'd have a weird pole sticking up with like a crow's nest thing about 10 or 12 feet off the ground in it with like a ladder. And there'd be a guy in there and he would be directing traffic from up there. He'd be pulling switches or something to raise and lower things for stop and go or something, I think. I'm not entirely sure how that whole cockamamie thing was. But I'm not seeing a cop directing traffic. I'm not seeing any lights. It's just, like Kathy said, controlled chaos. All right, Kathy says started out as New Netherlands, then it was New Amsterdam, then it was New York, right? And then it became New York. Well, Toronto, right? Toronto had to become Toronto because before that, Toronto was known as the city of York. So God forbid you have a York and a New York, even though there was already a York in the UK. So to avoid confusion, they changed it to Toronto or something crazy like that. Anyway, let's get back to this. Okay, here comes a horse-drawn trolley, and it's just basically going to plow through this intersection of that crowded sidewalk where the pedestrians are crossing on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see that huge, busy sidewalk, right? There's like 8 people shoulder to shoulder across the massive sidewalk on the right. And this horse-drawn tram is just he's just fixing to plow right through there, bud. Toronto was Muddy York. Yeah, Hogtown. That's right. Yeah, we're Cowtown. Toronto was Hogtown. That's right. I forgot the nickname of Hogtown for the T-Dot. The T-Dot-O-Dot. Water the tree, says everybody in their inherited outfits. Yeah, yeah. Well, with this crummy old footage, dark brown or navy blue can look black. Or charcoal gray can look black, but... yeah. Would people be a little bit more fashion conscious by this point? 1903, and it is New York, right? Supposedly very fashionable part of the United States. So fashion trends, maybe. But I mean, when everybody's wearing basically what looks like, similar outfits, and all the men are wearing like, you wear one of 3 different styles of hats, even though you could walk into any haberdasher and there's probably 3 dozen different kinds of hats that you can purchase. Well, the men look like it's one of 3 hats I'm wearing out today. That's it. All right, so here comes that horse-drawn trolley. Just right through. Like if you are not paying attention, then well, that's your ass. Your ass is grass. This guy turns in front of this other guy, and then in the center lane, you've got this guy's cart is way overloaded with I don't know what bunch of boxes. He's moving. It's moving day for this guy. He took one look at the chaotic street scene, and he said, "I'm getting out of here. I'm moving up to the burbs. I'm gonna move up to Harlem. It's fancy up there." Channel 53, basically no lanes. Yeah, just go where you can go, bud, and it's fine. I'm sure it'll be just fine. It's not a problem. Hippie Shake says, poor horse. Yeah, the horse is pulling that trolley, and then this horse pulling this cockamamie huge piled up load of, they look like boxes, but I don't know what. The guy's skipping town. I'm out of here. Pirate hats aren't in these days, says Ubukan. No, you can't wear one of those tri-point hats. People will walk up to you into the street, point, and go, "What are you supposed to be, a pirate?" I mean, they'll just immediately make fun of you, right? Same as the eye patch. You injure your eye, or you got a milky eye or some kind of eye problem. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to wear a patch, right? I'm just going to wear a patch. First thing people are, what are you, a pirate? No, I actually It's a medical requirement with my eye, but thanks. So that was 1903. This next one is 1911. Some of this footage you may have seen before. I know that somebody's taken this original black and white footage, which is quite good quality. And they've colorized it and AI assisted it and blah, 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 blah. I don't like that. I like trying to find the original raw footage. Shiver me timbers, yar. See, it's those hats, right? What I call the Great Gatsby hats, right? A completely flat brim. It's completely flat on top. It's round and it's got a black band, and it looks like it's made out of some kind of wicker or grass, or you know what I'm saying? Like it's like a fiber. It's not a wool hat. Look at that lady's hat on her head right behind this guy. Looks like she's got a cake on her head. Look at that. Right there on the right. She's one of those ladies that she's got flowers around the brim of her hat, and then on top she's got a stuffed bird. Lady, you got a dead bird on your hat. Did you know that? Excuse me, miss, did you know you had a bird on your head? No, it's just a stuffed hat ornament. Oh, sorry. Sorry, eh? Sorry about that, eh? Bouncing around here. Sorry, I'm just completely enthralled with this lady's hat. And she has her umbrella, even though it's a sunny New York day. I can say it's as dumb as hats ever. Why he says stupid hats they are. Yeah. Channel 53 says the women seriously wore 25 accessories. There was actually a lot of components to the ladies' attire, but there was actually a lot of components to the men's attire as well. You know, his shirt that this man, let's say right here, basically center frame, is wearing, that collar at one time was not attached to that shirt. You would put the shirt on, put the collar on, and the top button would button the collar and the shirt together. And often it wasn't even a button. It was those weird sort of push buttons that you get with the men's tuxedo shirts. And the cuffs were also separate. So you would have cuffs and you would have the cuff links to close the cuff, and the cuff would be buttoned to the sleeve of your shirt. And of course, the men's waistcoat, and then the sport jacket or the blazer or the suit jacket over top of that, and the trousers. That's a three-piece suit. With the braces or the suspenders to hold your trousers up, because for some reason nobody had come up with the idea of a belt and belt loops yet. Sometimes they had the adjustable tab at the back, not just in the old dungaree jeans that the miners wore with the Levi Strauss back in the 1870s or whatever either. Dressy and formal men's trousers had that cinch at the back, at the trousers. So yeah, no wonder the highfalutin aristocratic folks in the upper echelons of society had, people to help them dress in the morning. Derby day every day, says Samuel. Yeah. Yeah, you gotta have your hat or your fascinator on. It's all with all the flowers and dead birds on it, I guess. And then these guys with their Great Gatsby hats. I'm not sure what those hats are called. It's not a derby hat. It's not a bowler. It's not a fedora. Fedora's pointed down, pulled down in the front to a point like that. Yeah, see, Kappa, gangster movies, right? Those came about in the 30s and 40s. This is 1911, so I don't know what they're called. But anyway. Wow, did you see that lady's hat that whizzed by in the front of the... I can't even find her now. She just whips by. There. She's wearing a whole umbrella on her head. I don't need my umbrella. I've got my hat. She does not want to get sunburn. Yeah, there's a guy there with one leg, and he's got crutches. You can bet those streetcar trams and trolleys, they don't kneel like the new buses do with the flip out ramp. So I guess you're walking. Sorry, bub. Or you can get somebody kind and kindly help you on the thing. But yeah, speaking of canes, yeah, this guy's crutches, but people had canes, walking sticks. People used to walk with a walking stick, which was like a cane, even when they didn't need a cane. It was just, hello, I've got my walking stick because I'm going for a stroll. It's like, all right. This is just a warm-up here. We'll get to the traffic in a second. I just can't get over how right here you see people are just strolling. They're not looking both ways. I mean, a 5-year-old. Okay, I got a great nephew who's turning 4 soon. He knows to look both ways before crossing the street. Now, mind you, there's nothing really coming right at him. There's a trolley, but it's way back there. Horse and carriage just went by, but you don't know if something's coming the other way. That trolley barely stopped, right? This guy got off, and then his foot barely hit the pavement, and off it goes. Kids running in the streets. It's clearly in the middle of the day. What are you kids doing? Baja says, it's funny that hats were mandatory. Yeah, basically they were mandatory. Like you see everybody, even these little kids in the street here, just about to step into that horse poop. Those road apples. Wearing hats. Now people that wear hats get stared at. Yeah, unless you're wearing a ball cap or something, maybe it's a little bit more. I mean, I wear a hat a lot, but that's because I don't have enough hair on my head to protect my head from the sun. So I wear a hat. But yeah, it was the norm. Yeah, that's right. Kathy's got it right there. Even kids wore hats. Dragon Sage says, I make a cool walking stick. I bet you do. I bet you do. After making bows, I imagine a walking stick is a little easier, a little less complicated. Now, if I go hiking, like out in the backcountry, out in the mountains or something, yeah, I have a walking stick. It's taller, though. It's like a staff. It's like a Gandalf staff. Just helps with your footing and stuff. And sometimes when I'm hunting in the winter, I'll have a walking stick so that you can, if you want to cross a frozen lake or a pond or a frozen river, you want to give it a few pokes and whacks to make sure that it's going to hold you crossing it, right? Or also to see how deep a snowdrift is. How deep is that? If I step in that, is it going to go up to my neck? So you poke it with a stick. That's a good rule of thumb for anything in life. I don't know what that is. I'm just going to poke at it with this stick here, and it's going to be absolutely fine. There's not a thing wrong with poking something with a stick. You know, you're walking along. Is that a snake? I'm not sure. Poke it with a stick. It's totally fine. You're going to be okay. No, don't do that. Jesse Nix says, my dad has an antique walking stick that has a sword in it. Wonder if those had swords. Yeah, like they had daggers in them. That would be cool. That would be really cool. Let me tell you, I don't think you'd be allowed to walk around with one of those. You might have to have some kind of special permit. It's like a concealed weapon. But yeah, back in the day, man, you never know. You might get jumped by some weirdo in the streets that isn't watching where he's going. You know, he's oblivious. Kathy wanted to know if wearing a sombrero is cultural appropriation. I don't think so. I remember seeing a video clip on the YouTubes here about a guy who was wearing a white guy, a Caucasian feller. He was white, was wearing a sombrero, and he had a big fake glue-on Super Mario Brothers mustache. You know what I'm saying? The big stereotypical Mexican mustache. And if, you know, some lady, some Karen, walked up to him and tried to make him eat shit sandwiches for doing it. It was somewhere in LA, of course. So he walked up to some folks who were clearly of Latin origin and said, are you offended by my outfit? And they said, no, it's like you're paying tribute to us. It's like you're paying an homage to our culture. So, yeah. You know, dum-dums. That's what it is. Dum-dums. Dragon Sage says, I always have a knife and a lighter on me. Yeah. Bare minimum. Bare minimum. I do the same. I got a multi-tool, a knife, and I'm a filthy smoker, so I've always got a lighter on me too. Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to be away for a while, you got to have like a little go bag, you know, like a 2-day go bag with some basic essential emergency stuff in it, just in case, right? You're going on a road trip and I don't know, let's say you're like 60 miles for somewhere and you blow the oil pan right out of the bottom of your engine or something. You got no cell service. You're on some abandoned road somewhere, dirt road. You know what I mean? You got to start heel toeing it. You got like 60 miles to go or something. You're going to be sleeping overnight on the side of the road. So it's good to have some kind of small pack, like a little day pack maybe. It's got a tarp and something you could start a fire with, and I don't know, maybe some beef jerky, some granola bars, and first aid kit, and you know, yeah, an EDC kit, everyday carry kit, absolutely. Realm Dweller over on the Bumble with a very, very wise suggestion. Yes, EDC kit, gotta have it. Gotta have it. You drive with a spare tire in the trunk of your car, don't you? Not because you want a flat, but in case you have a flat. Same thing. You got to have an emergency kit with you, not because you want to get yourself into a pickle, into some kind of jackpot, but if and you do, you got it there, right? What's that old saying? It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. At least this kid's running across the street. Okay, this is this driver's fault. Yeah, this guy's kind of strolling and taking his time across the street, but the driver turns and is headed straight for him. It's like, get out of my way, buddy. Automobiles. Yeah, sorry, I missed it. That right here. So this guy coming, sort of center right, is going to be crossing the street. These horses you see entering in the left side of the frame, guy's just going to turn and come right at him. Move, buddy! Welcome to New York, sucker. Guy's got to see him. You start running. Oh, hello, miss. See? Got some kind of dead bird on your hat? Yep, Dead bird. Lovely looking lady, though. Doesn't look like some old spinster. But yeah, could definitely have some kind of something in her hat. Oh, sorry. I meant to pause it because, man, I'm terrible for doing that. I meant to pause it. Sorry. Just going to say, for 1911, there's awful lot of jalopies wheeling around already. So now they've got, not only do they have the horse and buggies or carriages or carts and horses and mules or whatever pulling these things, and the trolley or the tram, but now they got these jalopies whizzing by that they got to worry about. But they're still not looking. The trolley barely missed this guy, and he was not picking up the pace. This old fella here, just not a care in the world, doesn't even look up. And the trolley whips right by. Like, come on, Gramps, what are you doing, bud? I gotta see that again. This is textbook pedestrian Oblivion. At least that first guy tried to dodge that horse and buggy when it came at him. But this, he's just looking at the ground as he's walking, hand in his pocket, all self-righteous and self-important. He's not going to look left or right crossing. Just gives him half a sidestep because the trolley's coming at him. This guy's a dick. Watch where you're going, buddy. This guy runs in front of a car. Sure. Oh, now you're going to see some shenanigans. Just strolling. Trams coming from either direction. I'm just going to stroll along. Just gonna stand in the track and wait for this one to go by. Like, come on, man. This guy's still standing in the road. Tram's like 12 feet away from him. A lot of you may recognize this footage too. This has been AI enhanced and colorized a bazillion times. That little girl in the front is just not impressed whatsoever. I don't know if she's sitting on her daddy's lap or if that's her granddaddy or whatever, but she's not having fun. She's got her head in her hands, right? She's got a hand on her forehead like, oh, Lord. Like you're in an amazing world, kid, where there's jalopies and electric tram, streetcar trolleys, and massive towering skyscrapers, 1911 New York, and you're as bored AF. This driver signals to make a right turn, but spoiler alert, he never makes a right turn. So I don't know what the Sam Steely's doing. Jesse says, there's a lot of people in that little car. Maybe that's why that little girl is so pissed. It's like, how do we get crammed in here with all of these smelly hat-wearing jackasses? I just noticed that now that you mentioned it, Channel 53, right-hand drive car. Yeah. I know in Canada land, we switched from driving on one side of the road to driving on the other in, was it 1926, I want to say? Something like that. And I think the States was before that. But you'd still have some right-hand drive cars hanging around, even if you switch to the driving on the right, like driving on the driver's right. You see what I'm saying? Good point. Maybe she has motion sickness or she's car sick. It is kind of bumpy. My friends are going to see me. Yeah, being forced to drive around in the family jalopy on a Sunday afternoon. She's just mortified. That was a close call. Okay, now by 1911, this is a traffic cop. Right-hand side of the screen, there he is. With that goofy hat. That's got to be a cop, right? But watch how much of a close call this is, by the way. Just after he signals for the right-hand turn that he doesn't make. Or is he signaling that he's stopping? That's not the right signal to stop. Yeah, there's a couple of close calls here. People are cutting people off all over the place. Oh, here we go. No shoulder check there. Wait a shoulder check, buddy. That's a beautiful looking car, but you notice there's no mirrors on it at all. There's no mirrors, and not once have I seen this driver turn his head. And I don't think I've seen any of the passengers really looking around either. Yeah, that's right. Samuel Throckmorton in the box says, have to be so focused to drive there. Yeah, yikes. Yeah, once again, right? Everybody's just making their own lanes. Like 3 lanes going one direction and only 1 lane going the other. But then a trolley comes whipping by. So, now it's down to 2 and 2 on either side. Oh, man. Look at the beautiful buildings, though, in the wonderful setting. Get your shoe shine, mister? Sure, why not? Jesse says, that's crazy. They had license plates then, too. PCS World says DMV didn't exist yet. But yeah, in those cars, it's funny you say that because I've never really noticed. I'm just so busy watching the maniacal driving. But yeah, there's plates on the front of at least that one in the lead. The guy behind him was desperately trying to pass. Oh, yeah, he's got a number plate, too. Yeah, that guy wants to pass so badly. So badly. That cop's doing a terrible job of directing traffic, by the way. I guess you have to register the vehicle, but you would just register it with, what, the city or the county or something. And then did you have to have an operator's license back then? Maybe at this point, by 1911, maybe you had to have some kind of operator's license or driver's license, maybe? I don't know. I'll have to look into that. With the beautiful buildings too, huh? Incredible. Could be. That's a good point, Samuel. Samuel says those right-hand drive cars would be brought over from England or Europe, right? Yeah. Yeah, I would think so. I don't think Canada had much of a car industry. And the United States, well, they had Ford, but prior to that, I mean, you had some smaller car makers. Ford was kind of really just the first really successful nationwide, cheap, available to everybody car. There were cars prior to that. I mean, obviously, 1911 here. Those are pre-Ford. So yeah, maybe that's maybe they're European vehicles. So maybe those are European number plates. Could be. Because everyday Joes didn't have cars. They didn't have automobiles back then. I mean, you had to be pretty, I think you had to be pretty well-to-do. Maybe not filthy, stinking rich. You didn't necessarily have to be a Rockefeller or what have you. But I think you had to be doing pretty fine for yourself to have an automobile. And this guy's got a driver. I mean, that one guy, he's got a drive. Like, this brother is driving them, right? Like, if it's a commercial vehicle, like a delivery truck or a mail truck, sure, you know. But if it's a privately owned vehicle, you got to have some cash. And so maybe they just bought the vehicle from Europe and had it shipped. And yeah, it's a good point. It's definitely possible. Adam's Electric Universe says those trolleys aren't using overhead electric lines. They're using cables running down the middle under the center rail. Yeah, that's right. It was the precursor to the electric above. Yeah, the overhead electric wire. Yeah. It was electric motor, but it was these were the cable cars. Yes, I should clarify. 1911. 1919, I think, or 16, which according to the earlier articles we looked at, I think is when they converted them over to the overhead lines. So yes, thank you for that correction. You're absolutely right. I mean, I'm not seeing any plates on any of the horse and buggies or wagons or hansom cabs or anything like that. It looks like just those vehicles, those cars. Let me roll it back to when we saw those earlier jalopies that maybe weren't quite as fancy. Kind of hard to tell. Yeah, it's got a number plate on the bottom. It says Tip Top, whatever. And then underneath it says Tip Top with its logo on what would be the tailgate of a modern truck, right? And then yeah, it's got a rear number plate on it. Just noticing that huge clock in the background there too. Okay, is there a plate on that one? Yeah, it looks like that one is too. It's got a plate on it. So yeah, by 1911, whether you had a fancy schmancy import vehicle, jeez, Gramps, look out, it gets me every time. But yeah, whether you had a fancy schmancy import vehicle or a regular old jalopy, Channel 53 says just started storming, and that song is relaxing. Oh, good to hear. That's good. Yeah, lovely clock in the street. Yeah, it looks like it is in the intersection there too, right? Very nice. Really tall. That was kind of a thing too, where you might have clocks on the towers and stuff. Sure, we see that a lot. City Hall, post office, train station tower, whatever the case may be. But sometimes they would just put a big fancy schmancy clock, just a freestanding clock there. Town square or in a plaza or a busy intersection like that. It's pretty cool. What's going on with this lady's hat? Let's have a look at this. Dead bird? Yep. Got a dead bird. And a big silk or satin rim around it there. Band. Quite wide brim. Got the little baby in the stroller, in the pram. I don't know who that statue is in the background, though. Some guy, some important fella. We see the men getting their shoes shined, but you never see a lady sitting down and getting her shoes shined. Ladies wore leather shoes that needed polishing as well, did they not? Yeah, 1911 is still corset and bustle and yep. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, see that lady there on the left, cinched in waistline. Another umbrella too. Dead bird, giant feather. I guess that could count as a dead bird. Close enough. Couple of, oh, that's a tall lady. Wow, that lady's a giantess. That is a tall ass lady. But yeah, lots of feathers and dead birds going on there. This guy in the foreground, right in the middle, his hat is looking a little misshapen. You might want to take that and get it steamed there, sir. Steamed and shaped. Chassis says it's a lot of clothes to put on. Too much for me. Yeah, and even at this point, they've already scaled down, right? By, getting into 1910 and the teens, it's scaled down from what it was in the quote-unquote Victorian era. But even still, yeah, a lot of bother. I mean, you can't just jump out of bed, wash your face, brush your teeth, and quickly fix your hair and throw something on because you got to run out and do whatever real quick, and then you got to come back home later or whatever. No. I mean, it's a whole dog and pony show just to get dressed. I like the L going by above too. That's pretty cool. Hey, look, a couple of construction workers right there in center frame. Overalls. Not wearing those Great Gatsby hats. They're wearing the other hats. They're like the newspaper boy style hats. I don't know what those are called. Bowery Boy, says Ubicon. So yeah, maybe they're working on a construction site nearby and they're on their lunch break or something. Or maybe it's after work and they're going to grab themselves a couple of wobbly pops before they go home. Everybody else is dressed pretty fancy, but those guys are definitely, they work in the trades, bless them. Yeah, those hats are. I actually have one of those hats. When it gets hot outside, I don't wear it because it's a wool hat. But yeah, it's one of those. Here, let me grab it. It's a wool tweed, so it's yeah. There you go. Just too hot to wear in the summertime. Hippie says, "Oh, wobbly pops. We call it ice pops in the UK. Wobbly pops are beer. It's getting yourself a pint of ale or lager. More than likely a lager. Yeah, wobbly pop, barley sandwich. I heard somebody call it barley soup, and I'm like, but there is such a thing already as barley soup. Barley sandwich. You know, frosty beer." A nice parting shot of the Manhattan skyline from the, I think this is the Brooklyn Bridge. All right, so there it is. Manhattan Pedestrian Oblivion. As usual, just, pedestrians completely oblivious to the dangerous traffic. Horses and buggies and trams and trolleys and automobiles. And they got to keep their head up, but nope. See it time and time again. Didn't see too many bicycles on this one. Sometimes you see guys on bicycles darting in and out. That's a whole new level. You got kids running, there's old men not looking and just walking, horse and buggies cutting you off, and some guy in the meanwhile is whipping by on his bicycle. Like, look out, man. I wouldn't want to be that brother driving that jalopy with those 8 people in the back or however many were piled into that car. I wouldn't want to have been that dude. That's frantic, man. You must drop them white people off, pull over to the curb, pull out a flask and take a quick nip. You know what I'm saying? I know I would have been, I need a break. I'm going to sit down and have a smoke and just relax. Like I'd actually open the door and step out of the vehicle, close the door and just sit on the curb for a second. Just be like, that was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Heading down the Boozer Battle Cruiser for a bruiser. The brewski. We call it brewski sometimes too there, eh? Brewski. Dragon Sage, I'm having craft brewed IPA. There you go. He's talking cold beer. I'm Canadian. I'm going to be talking cold beer. A Dugan hat. A Dugan hat. Dugan hat. Ah, okay. I call him a paperboy hat. Is it a pork pie hat? No, that's different. It's not a pork pie. I'm going to have to look that up too. Because I got a lot of different hats. I got some of the old-timey. Now we're off on a hat tangent. It's going to be, it's hat show and tell time here on the New West live show now. Might as well bust out the hats. Like I said, I'm a bald fella, so got like hats like this hat here, right? And this one's my favorite. Of course, a cowboy hat. I got a cowboy hat too, but that's actually in the closet. I'm not going to go and dig that out. There's a gray version of that brown one. You got to have some feathers. Dead bird. Even the fellas can have a dead bird on their hat. Got one of these too. And then bald caps galore. Baseball hats coming out the wazoo. Hats for summer, hats for winter. Got the knit hats, the beanies as they call them. Up here in Canada, we call them toques. A toque. The knit beanie. Sometimes it's got a little pom-pom on the top. There you go. Got a bunch of those too, because it's Canada land. It gets colder than a witch's elbow up here, eh? Got to keep the noggin from getting the old frostbiting. It's not good. Thank you. Yeah, I have a lot of hats. I probably got about 10 ball caps, 10 or 12 baseball hats. Plus those 4 of the brim style that I showed you. A couple of those paperboy hats. I do have a pork pie hat somewhere. Vons is so classy, Frankie. Can see you walking around with a high-class broad and my walking stick. Somebody be like, who's this guy? I think he's... I don't think anything. I know who I am. I'm Frankie Fingers over here, all right? If you don't like it, then that's your freaking problem. All right, pal? Frankie Fingers.
So now you know what I'm talking about with the whole New West Reset thing.
No.
What?
No.
What I said about Frankie Fingers. The Frankie Fingers and New West Reset are the same.
Wait, what? My tinfoil hat is getting steamed and shaped at the haberdashers. No, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy some of that Mylar, right? And I'm just going to buy a whole bunch of it, and I'm going to take it into a tailor, and I'm going to have him tailor make me a tailor-made, handcrafted tinfoil / Mylar good enough hat. It's going to be fantastic. Oh, ridiculous. Yes, I agree. Channel 53. I miss Leota. Yeah, I liked Ray Liotta. He was good. Very good. 88 Fingers Frankie over here. I had a lady give me a hard time a couple of months ago because I was up filming fancy houses up in Scarborough, just 2 blocks up from me in a fancy neighborhood. And she was like, what are you filming in my neighborhood? And I'm like, oh, you're one of those, are you? And she started kind of saying, so I said, it's a historic neighborhood. It's historic houses in the church over there in the school. I'm filming it. Why not film it? It's a beautiful day, beautiful neighborhood. I don't know you. You don't live in this neighborhood. That kind of stuff, right? And she wanted to know my name. So I said, oh, my name's Frankie. And she said, Frankie what? And I said, Frankie Fingers, just like that. My name's Frankie Fingers. And then she kind of recoiled back a little bit. With the chicken neck recoiled back and blinked. Almost like does not compute. And then, I basically told her to go kick rocks and quit bothering me. But yeah. Kathy says I have a tinfoil hat. I have a tinfoil t-shirt. Really? No, you don't. Quit playing. The idea, though, would be a tinfoil hoodie, because then you get the tinfoil shirt and a tinfoil hat, and it's all in one. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to buy a few yards of that mylar, and take it to a tailor. I'm going to have them make me a tailor-made mylar hoodie. Yes, I do. I ain't playing with you. I ain't clowning. Speaking of playing and clowning, and Kathy Broughton, let's see what Kathy shared this week. Excuse me. Lost my voice there for a second. Mute it and hawk up whatever loogie that was. All right. Let's see what Kathy shared this week here with the shenanigans. Actually, this one's not so much shenanigans. It's cute. Let's just say this one's really cute. I liked it. I thought it was good. See what we got here.
Alligator in a vest.
What?
An investigator.
Whoo. Okay, I don't know. Kathy finds these on Insta and on, all of the networkings of socials. And she sends me stuff all the time. She says, I didn't share much. I was packing for my move. Well, you were busy. You had a few plates in the air. No, balls in the air. You were spinning a few plates like the old Sullivan show. But they're spinning them plates. What was it, on a stick? A plate on a stick? Tonight on the show, plate spinner extraordinaire, Kathy Broughton. No, but this is a bit of a longer video anyways, and it's funny, but it's super cute, so it ticks all the boxes. I mean, who doesn't like funny little cute babies? Come on.
I told my wife she should embrace her mistakes. She gave me a hug.
Why don't elephants use computer?
Why?
They're afraid of the mouse.
Eric at Lost and Found History Rewritten says, my son says that's called the Baby Podcast. Oh, okay, there you go. I mean, the jokes are okay. They're pretty good. Family-friendly jokes. It's fine. But however they did this, I don't know. Again, I don't know if it's AI or if they just got a bunch of babies to laugh and then just clever editing. But yeah, babies telling dad jokes. I mean, I agree. I mean, come on, man. Little baby.
Why don't eggs tell jokes?
Why?
They might crack up.
I mean, come on, man. It's pretty good. That is pretty good. And it's cute. So, there you go. Bunch of AI babies cracking dad jokes with one of those was definitely Joe Rogan's voice, I think. But anyways, it was pretty hilarious. At least I thought it was.
I wet my jockeys here.
Baha says it's kind of trippy, man. Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely AI. I mean it's real babies, but then they AI the laughing, I think, and obviously when they talk, and obviously I'm pretty sure the Brumph hairstyle. I mean, who knows? Maybe they just styled the baby's real hair like that. Thank you very much, Eric. Lost and Found History Rewritten says, see you all next week. Don't forget to show some love for Frankie. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Appreciate it. Dragon Sage says, I want to start a monkey channel. All monkeys all the time. But I need a pet monkey. Yeah, but you know what? You'll be rich. Rich! People love monkeys. You start a YouTube monkey channel. Man, you could retire in 6 months. You could retire. I mean, who doesn't like monkeys? I love monkeys. I mean, you got cat channels that have 3 million subscribers. Why not monkeys? Why not monkeys? Anyway, there you go. I think I'm getting ready to wind this thing down here. We're coming up on 2.5 hours already. It was a fun show. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. I like doing these Pedestrian Oblivion episodes once in a while just to kind of lighten it up. But, I mean, we still get all the... Well, speaking of ticking boxes, we still tick all the boxes. We get to see some old world tech, old world buildings, but we get to see it kind of in moving pictures, and we get to see a little bit of everyday life street scenes. And I think it does help to support the narrative that the timeline has been monkeyed around with, if you pardon the pun, and that it just seems like a lot of this tech is much older than we were told it was. And these people are, after this tech has been repurposed and unveiled, newly unveiled for a second time under its new rediscovered, reverse engineered new life, it's new to these people. They're not used to it yet. They're not used to, like, look out for the trolley. It's coming right at you, man. Yeah, no, they don't know how to cross the street in a big city without looking both ways and avoiding getting hit by vehicular traffic of many sorts. It's wacky to me, but it's kind of fun too. So once again, as mentioned at the top of the show, links below for everything. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it, as always. What's going on with the channel here? The weather has gotten quite nice lately. Rainy-ish time of year. You know that April showers bring May flowers? Yeah, we pushed that back a month here in southern Alberta, in Calgary, Alberta land here. It's more like May showers bring June flowers. So it's kind of rainy-ish right now, but definitely still going to get out, boots on the ground, and going to expand my circle of checking stuff out as the weather is nicer and I can be out for longer periods without, you know, freezing to death or getting the hypothermic conditions. So keep your ocular sphericals and your peepers peeled onto the channel for every Friday, the boots on the ground. And again, as a reminder, Wednesday, vintage footage. Peak Freens Factory. That'll be coming up Wednesday. And then we'll see you here next week, Sunday, for the next live show. A few projects in the works. Again, as mentioned, because the weather is getting nicer, I'm going to do that walking tour of a historic area here in Calgary, of some buildings that were built by the Freemasons. And the tour is going to be conducted by a friend of mine and a co-worker of mine named Jim, who is a Freemason. In fact, he's quite high up in the Freemasons. So I thought that would be a fun, interesting walking tour with him, just to get it from the horse's mouth of their version of the narrative, the official, his story of some of these old world buildings here in Calgary. So that'll be coming up in the next few months. And as mentioned, summer quickly approaching. Reset 1700, my documentary feature-length film, talking about my theory as to the most recent regional reset here in southwestern Canada and the Pacific Northwest of the United States. I've already released a couple of teasers for what's going to be coming up in that documentary, but I've got a trailer coming up soon. So again, do all the things down here so you know, hit the bell so you don't get notified when I post that trailer. That'll be coming up soon. And then that film will be released in the summertime. I will do it as a live, I'll do it actually on a live show. We can watch together as a watch party. And then after that's done, I'll put it up as probably a 4-parter on the channel. And a bunch of other stuff, road trips, so on and so forth. Trying to get together with Cousin Vinny, but the weather, as I said, has not been the best. It's been raining and, just scheduling conflicts and so on and so forth. But yeah, definitely going to be trying to do some road trips. Maybe see if I can head out to the Banff National Park, Canada's first and largest national park. Maybe check out the old Banff Springs Hotel with some boots on the ground. It's just that railway hotel that the railway built back, in the middle of the mountains. Just so happens to look like a castle that's, 8,000 feet above sea level. That's fine. It's not that tough for a bunch of Canadians to do over a few years, a couple of years with the harsh winters in the mountains. No problem, bud. And a bunch of other stuff. So that is going to seal the deal here tonight for Frankie, New West Reset and New West Reset Live, episode 119, the Manhattan Pedestrian Oblivion. Again, links below. Thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate all of your support. If you're watching this after the live, thank you. Thank you very much. I know it's, 2.5, 3 hours. It's a lot. So really appreciate it. Appreciate all of you. Once again, thanks for winding down your weekend here with yours truly. And if you're in the good old US of A, happy Memorial Day long weekend to you. Don't forget to do all the things. And until the next one, take care out there and have yourselves a good one. All right, everyone. Thanks again. See you next week. Cheers.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.